preaching on the book of Ruth at some point. Ruth left with Naomi. When Naomi heard that Yahweh Elohim had visited his people, and there was bread once again in Bethlehem, the house of bread, so Naomi decided to return. And the two daughters-in-law, the two sons had passed, started after her. And Naomi told both of them to go back. One turned and went back, the other followed her. Naomi represents the Holy Spirit, the Comforter. In the Scriptures, we see over and over again two of something. That we have a choice. There are two trees in the garden, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We have Isaac and Ishmael. We have Jacob and Esau. We have Saul and David. We have Samson, who was called to be a judge, but pretty much failed most of his life, versus Samuel. We have a pattern where there's a choice. Yahweh Elohim gives a choice. Two paths to follow. One leads to life, one leads to destruction. The two daughters-in-law also represent those two paths. And it's interesting because if you were to do some research and find out their genealogies, which Josephus did for us. Orpah had a great grandson. And Ruth also had a great grandson. And their two great grandsons met. Orpah's great grandson, the people of Moab, gave birth to the people of the Philistines, Philistine. Moab means my mother's father, Moab. We're a cursed people. And Ruth is a type of those who were not Ezrach, but they were in the world, or of the world. They were cursed. They were outside the covenants, Ephesians 2, but they can be redeemed too, if they choose to follow the ELohim of Israel. Orpah had a great-grandson. His name was Goliath. He met Ruth's great-grandson, David. David is descended from Jacob, and Goliath is actually descended from Esau. You have Esau and you have Jacob. You have Goliath, and you have Orpah, and you have Ruth, you have Goliath, and you have David. And then you have the son of Goliath, and you have the son of David. Their sons also met face to face one day. David's son is Yeshua, the son of David. And Goliath's son, Herod. The false king, the usurper of the throne. And they shall meet once again. At the very, very end. Yeshua, the son of David, shall come back once. He shall come back, and there shall be another Herod. There's a mystery. A descendant of Herod. That is the false Messiah who is to come on the earth. Okay? Now, Orpah went back. Her descendants became the enemies of Israel. Ruth chose to follow Naomi. She came out of Moab. And she makes a statement, and she says, Amech Ami Elohai Elohim. Elohai Elohim. Elohai. In English, the translations are incorrect. In English it says, your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God. That's not what it says in Hebrew. In Hebrew it says, your Elohim is my Elohim. And your people are my people. Not shall be, they are now, already, in her heart. She crossed over. And she crossed over from the land of Moab, the cursed land. She crossed Jordan. She came into the land of Israel, and she followed Naomi, who represents the Holy Spirit. It is taught out there that Ruth is a portrait of the church. Well, if it is, and she is, watch this. When you look at chapter 2 of the book of Ruth, it says that she was out in the fields gleaning. And she was gleaning from the time of the barley harvest to the time of the wheat harvest. The barley harvest is the month of Aviv, right? From Passover, Nisan 1, right? All the way to, you said it, to Shavuot is the time of the wheat harvest, the second harvest. Okay? And at Shavuot, that's when Elohim betrothed and married Israel at Sinai. Shavuot represents a marriage. Okay? Now watch this. How did Ruth know when she came back to Bethlehem with Naomi that she could go out to the field and glean?
Naomi told her.
Yes, right? Okay, what? Who said it? Naomi told her. The Holy Spirit, he said it, right? While she was in Moab, right, she was learning about the commandments, the statutes and judgments, the instructions, the Torah of Yahweh Elohim, so that when Naomi was going back, she could then say, your Elohim already is my Elohim. Not shall be, he already is my Elohim. That's very powerful, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Because when she was cleaning, they have a law, right? That the corners of the field they're supposed to be left for the poor.
Right.
And for the foreigners that are
Right.
living within the poor.
But how did Ruth know that she had that right when she's from Moab? Because Naomi was teaching her the commandments. The Ruach was teaching her the commandments.
And maybe her
Just-
husband before he died.
Pardon?
And maybe her husband before
Correct.
he died.
Just as every one of you being in the buildings, as David uses, right? Being in those Sunday worship places, right? The Holy Spirit began to speak to you in some way about the commandments, whether it was the Shabbat, or Passover, or Sukkot. He began to speak to you and reveal to you. That is a sign to you that you are like Ruth, Gerim. Maybe some of you are Israel, Ephraim. You don't know it. Doesn't matter. The point is you need to be part of Israel. Because after one is grafted in, after 1 year, you can then also have the right to inherit land, and it doesn't matter anymore. There's no distinction, because there shall be one Torah for the native born as well as the grafted in one. And there is no distinction, because man looks at the outside, but Yahweh looks at the heart. Now, let's go to Ruth chapter 3, and we're going to close real soon. And I'm going to read the first 9 verses. This is really, really powerful. Let me just get some of my notes here, so I don't forget something. Okay. Ruth chapter 3. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, my daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you? Now Boaz, whose young women you were with, is he not our relative? Well, Redeemer. In fact, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Therefore wash yourself and anoint yourself, put on your best garment, and go down to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. She's giving her instructions, like the Holy Spirit is teaching her how to obey, because this had to do with Levirate marriage from Deuteronomy 25. So she has to be taught. We all have to be taught the commandments and then how to obey the commandments. Okay? This is not being taught out there in the buildings, in the churches. They're not being taught the commandments, and then to obey the commandments is part of the sanctification process. Here she's being taught. If they teach, that is, since they teach that Ruth is a type of the church, well, watch this. Then it shall be when he lies down that you shall notice the place where he lies, and you shall go, uncover his feet, and lie down, and he will tell you what you shall do. Now, I'm not going to get into a lot of things here. There's something very specific, though, I do want to say. And Ruth said to her, this is verse 5, all that you say to me, I will do. I will obey. That's exactly what Rebecca said. I will go. What Israel said, the true Israel, I will do, I will obey. I will keep the commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. He who loves me is the one who obeys my word. Why do you call me Master, Master, and do not do what I say? John 14, verse 15, 21, and 23. 3 times he says, if you love me, obey me. He doesn't say love me, because we already know, if we're true Israel, Shema Yisrael. Listen with the intent of your heart to obey all the words which Yahweh your Elohim is about to tell you. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, and you shall love Adonai your Elohim. Right? He goes on with verses 5 through 9. All that you say, all that you instruct me, I will do. What is she instructing her? According to the Torah, Deuteronomy 25, the law of the Levirate, because she was a foreigner, and because her husband had died, and there's the whole process of how to redeem the property and the land and carry on the name. So she has to learn. We all have to learn. The bride has to learn how to know the commandments and walk in them. So Ruth went down to the threshing floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law instructed her. She obeyed everything that she was taught.